If you're anything like most of my friends, you might have heard of Star Ocean, maybe even looked up a trailer once or seen a picture of the legend himself, Edge Maverick. God, that's such a beautifully stupid name. But then you probably forgot about it and went back to playing Final Fantasy or something. Well, I'm here to tell you today is the day that changes, because it's time you stop sleeping on Star Ocean, because Star Ocean Second Story R launches this week. And out of the 6 Star Ocean games, it's not just arguably the best in the franchise, it's one of the best, most influential JRPGs from its generation. And considering Square gave it the Octopath Traveler treatment and a massive gameplay overhaul, it's looking better than ever. So let me address the big question up front. Why should you care about Star Ocean? I know there's a decent amount of people wondering, because unfortunately Star Ocean never really popped off in the West. So let me give those of you who don't know the deal yet the elevator pitch, and hopefully help a few of you avoid accidentally ruining your save file in the process. First things first, don't let the numbers spook you. Star Ocean games are standalone, so you can hop right in, and if you take the plunge, you'll find what is quietly one of the densest, most unique JRPGs you'll play all year. Potentially one of the most unique in recent memory because of 2 words: player choice. From minute 1, you're given the choice between which of the 2 main characters you want to play as, each having their own unique story beats, dialogue options, playstyles, and even party members. Because you see, out of 12 potential party members, the only mandatory ones are the 2 protagonists, and all of the rest are up to you finding and unlocking them. And they won't all just be handed to you. You've really got to pay attention to the world around you and track them down. Thankfully, the Second Story R adds a very nice New Game Plus mode, so after your first run, you can circle back to experience the aspects of the story and the characters that you missed. And you have every reason to do so, because there are 80 different endings in this game, driven by a surprisingly deep relationship system affected by each choice you make in conversation and how you behave around your party members. Unironically, and this just crossed my mind actually, but really it's probably about 2 to 3 times as nuanced and impactful as Starfield's relationship mechanics, so way ahead of its time. And this focus on player choice really carries through the entire game. There are so many insanely deep systems like the crafting that are so easy to miss if you don't choose to engage with them. I bet there are players today who don't know there's a whole pickpocketing system that can reward you with some of the best items in the game because of how easily missed it is. Players who don't know how insane item creation gets because initially it just looks like nothing special, but trust me, it is crazy. This is one of those games that will really respond to you and put out as much as you put in. And it looks like the remake is continuing to lean into that in the best ways possible, especially when it comes to the combat. Star Ocean 2 has always had this really fun, unique flow to it, but I'd be lying if I said combat didn't also feel more than a little clunky. But Second Story R has really smoothed out practically every rough edge possible without ruining the game's identity. Combat is much faster paced while remaining largely driven by strategic choices like your party composition and team formation, alongside brand new assault actions that basically function as assist, where you call in protagonists from old Star Ocean games to give you a hand. There's also a new shield break mechanic for both you and enemies, adding this entirely new layer of depth to combat as you whittle down their meter while avoiding getting stunned yourself. There's also a new perfect dodge, making it easier to keep a combo going, and spells receive this massive rework that makes them even more viable than ever. It's crazy how this is really going to feel like a fresh experience even for fans of the classic. Now keep in mind, like most classic JRPGs, Star Ocean 2 will take a moment to get going, but once it does, it falls into this really nice pace. These games are special, they've got a certain atmosphere, a flow to them. The first word that comes to mind is cozy. They can be such a pure, earnest experience sometimes, albeit a bit cliche, but hey, it's fine, it's comfort food after all. Second Story evokes the feeling of this grand adventure with your party, a genuine journey where you'll feel how much each character in the world around them grows alongside you. There's a certain je ne sais quoi about truly party-centric games that I feel is missing from a lot of modern JRPGs that is alive and well here, and is a big part of the DNA of all Star Ocean games. But when it comes to your party members, you do have to be a bit careful. Remember I mentioned you can accidentally ruin your save and that only 2 of the 12 potential characters are mandatory? Well, here's where things get a bit dicey, and I wouldn't normally do this, but I kinda recommend glancing at a guide at least briefly. You see, out of all of the optional characters, only 6 can join your party party in a single playthrough. Some are protagonist specific like Diaz or Leon, but things get tricky when you realize if you want Ashton, that means locking yourself off from both Opera and Ernest. Or once you realize how certain characters may become unavailable if you take the wrong turn or progress too far. I won't go over how to unlock each and every character, especially considering I don't know for sure if anything has changed, but just remember that aside from Claude and Reyna, you can only have 6 party members max, so you may want to briefly look up who is who and what they're like before you commit. There aren't any duds though, aside from Noelle, and there are no major story changes as a result of your party, so it's not the biggest deal. And personally, I'm picking my party more based on personality than anything. But of course, this isn't a short game, and not everyone is going to want to circle back for New Game Plus, so it's helpful to keep this in mind and ensure you get the party you want first try, especially considering spending time with your party is a big aspect of this game, and if you don't like who you're with, you won't have as much fun. It's that simple. But outside of that, when it comes to the story, you're in for a really fun ride. If you've ever seen Star Trek, think that, then toss in magic and a few monsters, and you're basically 80% of the way through your standard Star Ocean plot. In the second story R, Claude gets accidentally teleported to the planet Expel, where he's mistaken for a prophesized hero because, guess what? These people have never seen a phaser before. In a lot of ways, Second Story R is your standard fish out of water story, as Claude travels with Reyna, looking for a way home, while investigating a crashed meteor that's caused monsters to start rampaging across the countryside. And this is part of why I'd recommend, if this is your first playthrough and you're on the fence between Reyna and Claude, I'd go with Claude, because through his perspective, you'll get more opportunities to learn about the world and its people right alongside him. I won't spoil where the story goes, but it's dense and has plenty of surprises in store to keep you excited, waiting to see what comes next. The sci-fi elements really aren't just for show. You'll find yourself dealing with way more than you expect. The star of the show really is the characters though, your interactions with them, and how your choices in those interactions drive you towards the end of the game is what makes Star Ocean Second Story so memorable. And look, if I haven't convinced you yet, then go grab the demo. It'll help you get a feel for how the game plays, and while you'll only really get a taste of combat, believe me, it gets much deeper once you expand to 4 characters, each with their own unique movesets and spells. And especially once you really get into the nitty-gritty of the skill system. Oh, believe me, this skill system is the meat and potatoes of Star Ocean. Star Ocean is one of my favorite franchises that never gets enough love, and while I'll definitely release a more thorough look at it once I've finished my playthrough, for now all I can say is Star Ocean 2 was already one of the best JRPGs ever made. So I imagine you can see how it could easily become one of the best JRPGs you've played all year with all the upgrades that Second Story R has received. So if you wind up giving it a try, let me know down below and let's talk about why it's fun. And if you love JRPGs, maybe check out this video I made on one of the most underrated indie masterpieces I've played. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned because I'll be back soon.